CNN sold its soul for ratings so transient that the additional Trump audience immediately vanished. Within the hour, CNN was back in last place behind Fox and MSNBC, and by midnight, the entire ratings bump and three-quarters of all CNN viewers were gone. And while one threat from Wolf Blitzer or Jake Tapper or Anderson Cooper could get the CEO Chris Licht fired and this prostituting of CNN ended, instead of Anderson Cooper bravely calling out his bosses, last night he blamed his audience.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and called Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election.
As you all know, CNN decided to host a town hall event for Trump. As I'm sure you also know, CNN is under new management, and that new management wants to broaden the network's audience by appealing more to Trump voters. They don't want Republicans to feel uncomfortable watching their network. Unfortunately for CNN, that's difficult to do without alienating its existing audience. Also, the viewers CNN is courting, particularly the most ardent Trump supporters, have a disdain for truth in reporting. Case in point, they boycotted Fox News when it accurately called the state of Arizona for Joe Biden as the 2020 election night results were coming in.
And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed.
Now, Anderson Cooper is upset that many of us didn't watch the Trump town hall. He's disappointed in all of us living in our silos, refusing to listen to people we, quote, don't agree with.
You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
This isn't about not agreeing with people, and I imagine Anderson Cooper knows that. He's a smart guy, and he's been in this business for a long time. He's also tied to a network that has suddenly chosen to go in a very different direction from the one that he's used to. And I get the point that I think he's trying to make. He's right. It takes some emotional fortitude to listen to and engage with people who have opposing views from the ones you hold. People take their personal beliefs very, personally. And I'm not even talking about political views or religion or anything like that necessarily. I will give you a seemingly innocuous example that most of you can probably relate to. If you diss someone's favorite song, they get mad. That's a personal belief with strong emotional ties. If someone doesn't like your song, it's basically like they don't like you. They don't appreciate the things you find value and beauty in. They don't get why the lyrics mean something to you. They don't feel the same euphoria that you feel when you do, and honestly, you don't even understand how that's possible. Not only that, they're just missing the experiences you've had with the song, the moments it was there for you when you needed to feel something, when you needed to feel seen. They're dismissing the time in your life when all you did was listen to that song in your bedroom. Maybe they're even dismissing the people you love who introduced you to that song. My point is that personal beliefs go deep, no matter how trivial or stupid you might think them to be. That's why conversations around political beliefs, which are so much more encumbering than a song preference, are so difficult to have. That's why I've always felt that political debates are also mostly pointless. I don't watch those either. Of course, it's important to listen to people who you don't agree with. Of course, it's important to stay aware of the people around you. I, maybe naively, believe that it is possible to be friends with someone who holds views you don't agree with. I believe that because in the real world, not in the binary world that social media would have you believe we live in, I've seen it happen. It works as long as those two people respect one another as human beings. It works as long as one person isn't telling their friend to change their ways, and if they're not deliberately excluding that friend from parties or groups because of their differing beliefs, and if they don't base their friend's entire value on those beliefs. Maybe they have conversations about each other's lifestyles, or maybe they simply respect each other's boundaries. But we have to remember that it's okay for people to need a minute to learn more about something that they don't understand, as long as there's respect there. An example of this could be maybe somebody in the LGBTQ community and someone outside of it. Now, all of that said, none of that would be applicable if one party denies the humanity of the other. This friendship and others like it cannot work if one party tells the other that they're going to hell, and that their lifestyle is an abomination, and that they don't deserve to have the same rights as everyone else, and that they're less than for not subscribing to a particular belief or for not belonging to a particular group. It only works if they understand and recognize that they're being presented with something that is maybe unfamiliar but unharmful to them. And instead of reacting with fear and derision, they instead choose to seek understanding and remain open. But some people's views are, in practice, harmful to others. That's why people can't be friends with Nazis, although ironically, a friend is probably just what they need. I mean, I'm not going to volunteer to be that friend, but if one of you wants to take on that task, good luck to you. It's the same reason why many people on the left find it difficult to be friends with people on the right. Many of the views right-wingers hold are anti-something, and the party they support actively pushes legislation that would marginalize and demonize already marginalized and demonized communities that many of us on the left are a part of. So yeah, we take it personally. I stopped voluntarily watching Trump speak years ago, though I do make the occasional exception when I'm working on a story for you all, and I hope you appreciate the things I do for you. Otherwise, I don't invite him into my life, and I don't think my life has been worse for it. I also don't think I'm any less informed on what he's up to because I choose not to watch him speak on television. I know the things he says and does because news networks like CNN report on the things he says and does. So if I'm watching CNN or MSNBC, or really if I'm getting my news from any other news or reporting outlet besides Fox and Newsmax, I don't know, like NPR, The Guardian, Politico, The New York Times, The Washington Post, Slate, The Atlantic, all of them and more, I'm still getting the news. I'm still reading the articles. I'm still staying informed. I'm not fortifying myself in a silo of comfortability. Some of the articles I read are difficult to read. Sometimes they're upsetting. Sometimes they hurt my heart, but I stay informed as best I can. But back to Anderson's point, it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to be friends with someone who is a pathological liar. Anderson Cooper thinks that me choosing not to watch the Trump town hall, me choosing not to listen to a man lie on a stage, is the same as me choosing to live in a silo, as if we haven't all been listening to this particular man tell the same exact lies for years already. That Trump town hall was full of lies. I told you I didn't watch it, but I saw clips, and really, it doesn't matter if he told the truth for every part of the town hall that was not clipped and curated for me. In the clips I saw, he lied repeatedly, adamantly. Even while being fact-checked in real time, he kept lying. He just lied harder. Anderson, why do I need to watch him repeat the same lies he's been repeating for the past 2 years? Lies that have been debunked over and over and over again. We all knew he was going to lie from the moment the event was announced. He did not disrupt our expectations of what that town hall was always going to be. What did anyone stand to gain from watching that? I don't agree with Trump because the things he says aren't factual. If we're not first operating from a point of fact in instances where empirical evidence is available to us, then what are we doing here? I don't need to be lectured about not agreeing with someone's lies. CNN took a gamble on hosting the town hall, a gamble that, according to initial evidence, did not pay off for them. They saw a ratings boost, sure, but it was incredibly fleeting. It faded as quickly as it came. Not only that, but their reputation has been further damaged amongst people who would actually have continued to watch and support the network. Not only that, but one of their most beloved and most watched hosts is currently receiving backlash. And on top of everything, Trump might get sued again by the same woman who just defeated him in court, this time for defamation that he committed on CNN. Really, the bigger story here is one that I haven't spoken about at all. Anderson's right. This man is the forerunner for the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidency. He's right, we can't ignore him. But ignoring him and platforming him are two different things. No one has been ignoring him. He's impossible to ignore. Everything he does is newsworthy precisely because he was once the president and is currently a presidential hopeful. But Anderson himself seems to be forgetting how Trump came to such prominence in the 2016 election. He seems to be forgetting how much free advertisement mainstream networks gave him every time he tweeted something provocative or inflammatory. Anderson seems to be forgetting the role he played in the current state of our nation. And I know, I'm sitting here talking about him right now. I talk about him a lot. Trust me, way more than I ever want to talk about him. It's a tricky line to toe. As I said, he is unfortunately relevant, however he came to be. But the more we talk about him, the more empowered he is, the stronger his messaging becomes. It doesn't matter if we speak about him positively or negatively. Clicks are clicks and views are views. Clicks and views make money for networks, big and small. And capitalism dictates that we must always chase the dollar. I don't like it, but it's the world we are all currently living in, so we just have to do our best until we can change the world. That doesn't mean we don't have the right to choose what we consume, when, and how. And unlike Anderson Cooper, I won't disparage people for exercising that right. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe. And be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok.